Payday 3's Episode 3 Dev Diary has been out for a little bit now, and today we are going to be covering what is inside, starting with what they have first mentioned in it, the difficulties. So, at launch, there's going to be 4 difficulties that are currently going to be out. We got normal, hard, very hard, and overkill. And they have mentioned in the video that hard is going to be the standard that most people are probably going to play if they're pretty familiar with FPS games and Payday 2 and the leveling experience. However, when it comes to veterans of Payday 2, the people that put in all that time and effort into maximizing their shit, they're probably going to be sticking to very hard or maybe dabbling into overkill. But that all depends. There's 4 difficulties, and each of them are mostly going to be same throughout. So that means all the specials are going to be across all 4 of the difficulties. The only real thing that sounds like it's going to be tweaked is the accuracy and damage of the units that are going to be spawning. But the health values are going to be uniform across all 4 difficulties, which I think a lot of Payday players are going to be rejoicing over, because I don't think anyone wants to be spending 18 years just taking down a single unit on death sentence. Another thing that they talked about was armor and how it affects the character. So just like Payday 2 and I believe Payday the Heist, if I don't believe so though, armor is going to be affecting the player's weight, just like how Payday 2 did. However, with the new movement mechanic and such added into Payday 3, it sounds like it might affect it a little bit more. Like we've seen previously that there's a slide mechanic and there's also mantling. So that could affect maybe how quickly you could get up them, as well as maybe the distance of your slide. So players can play around that however they see fit. Armor is going to be built up in what they called shards, but just think of it as, I guess, stacks in a way, or different sections. So armor in general can be recouped, but if it's fully broken, so that one section is fully broken, it's going to be lost forever unless you use an armor bag, which that sounds like it's going to be a lot more useful than it ever was in Payday 2. So that's good that they're actually going to use it, but it's going to be a little bit of a game changer for those high armor builds or even low armor. They can't rely on that armor regen, but there's probably going to be some skills where you can actually regen armor on kill or headshot or even a special kill. I'm not sure. There was talk that health in general does not regenerate, besides, of course, first aid kits or med kits. But health in general, minus all of that stuff being just a flat thing, that's gonna be kind of wild, because the new special that they're talking about is the only one that I know so far that essentially goes directly for HP. They call it the Nader, but I've been calling it the Grenadier in my head, and it's that one special that kind of has a little bit yellow on him, and he throws grenades, like gas grenades, but he also has flashbangs attached to him that you can shoot out to actually stun him and nearby enemies. But they talked a tiny bit more about him in depth. For the gist of it, the gas grenades kind of act as a CC type of ability that will prevent the player from sprinting. It kind of lowers the vision because, it's a big gas cloud. And the damage, it's a small tick of damage over time. However, it goes directly into your health. It completely bypasses your shield. An interesting thing, though, with this new guy being mentioned, there was talks with the bulldozer and how he's getting new moves, getting a bull rush that they call it, a kick ability, and just an overall, fresh coat of paint. they mention that you could build specifically around taking out a certain special. So let's say hypothetically you really hate this grenadier, or you really hate the bulldozer. You can make a build that will just completely 3-shot a bulldozer or completely annihilate any fucking special in the game. Granted, because you're focusing so harshly onto that, one specific niche, you're probably going to be lacking in other areas. But I just thought that was really funny that they mentioned that if you really wanted to, you can build specifically on taking out these guys. So I'm honestly really curious on how in-depth you can go into harassing one specific dude over and over again. Another thing that really terrified me while watching this video and kind of analyzing it. Cloakers can now destroy your deployables. Apparently they have a little vial or something of acid that if there's any unattended deployables that he decides to stumble upon, he will actively just pour the acid on it and just fucking destroy it. So make sure you guys have those in a good enough spot, or at least protect them with your life, because I don't think anyone wants to have their armor bags now being destroyed by some cloaker. So just keep that in mind. They touched a little bit more on shields, which the way the shields are sounding, I'm actually excited and also sad. I'm excited because they actually support their fucking team, and common units will actually work around them to protect themselves and also to punish you. So one simple shield, it's not gonna do anything. It's not really even doing any damage because all he has is a pistol. However, if that shield has 4 of their fucking friends around, you're gonna have a bad time. So shield units are actually doing their job. They're not just running at you and just pinning you into a corner or having you surf on top of their shield. That sounds like it might not happen anymore. So I'm sad about that part. Everything else is great. They touched a little bit more on weapons, and also in the video they showed off a good amount of their first-person models, which, let me tell you, these weapons look awesome. I am so excited, and hearing some of the extra gameplay in the back, it sounds awesome. These weapons are going to be so amazing. They're going to feel so good in the hands, and I'm just excited for this game. Anyways, for these weapons, it sounds like every weapon has its own progression. It'll still have the same customization options similar to Payday 2. Maybe they might add some extra stuff or not, but same thing of, putting on a different receiver, different sights, stocks, grips, all that fun jazz. That's still going to be in here. However, it's not going to be uniform attachments in a way. So in order to unlock attachments for a certain weapon, let's say the AK that they've been showing off a lot, you have to use the AK during your heist in order to unlock XP for it, which then will unlock the attachments. So it's not just using this one meta weapon and that's it. They're trying to steer away from having the singular best weapon for all scenarios, and making every single weapon viable in its own unique way. So I'm a big fan of having every weapon kind of have its own progression system for attachments, mostly because it's a longevity, and in a way it allows you and kind of forces you to experiment with the arsenal, because maybe you think that the AK is your favorite, it's your go-to, but you might try a 3-burst scar, I think they were showing in there, and maybe that's your bread and butter all of a sudden. So it kind of forces you to experiment a little bit, and I think that's a good thing. And I also just love just changing up my loadout every single time, because I don't like using the same thing constantly. They touched more on overkill weapons, and the way I saw it, overkill weapons are kind of acting like a get out of jail free card. So the piglet that was shown was an overkill weapon, and also that sniper with the infrared sight. That is also an overkill weapon. I think those are the only two that are going to be in at launch, but who knows? There might be an RPG that you might get, or minigun, you know, because we had them in Payday 2 as just default shit. And now that the Piglet was moved into an overkill weapon, I am not surprised if I see them toss that as an overkill weapon in the near future. But yeah, essentially is you'd call in this weapon package of sorts, I guess, and it's essentially just a get out of jail free card. So let's say you're held up in like a really bad choke point and you make that mad dash for your overkill weapon, and it's the Piglet launcher. Now you can clear this room and, you know, secure the rest of the loot to finish the heist, you know, with your max payout that you can. So it's kind of like turning the tables onto the enemy. You know, it could be that make or break moment right there with that weapon that can either save you in the heist, or if you didn't have it, you know, you could have ended it and you were just going out, you know, fighting. So that's great. And final thing I will touch on, moving back to the main weapons and not overkill, is that weapons have their own unique spray pattern now. And that was probably true for Payday 2, but with their attempt at making the weapons feel a little bit more realistic, weighted, and punchy, they're most likely replicating or attempting to kind of replicate the spray pattern and the way that the gun would feel in your hand if you actually had it. So that goes in with the unique spray patterns. So if you're trying to find a weapon, or you already found a weapon that, you know, feels good to you, now there's another layer of difficulty kind of on top of it, not even bringing into attachments that could affect the spray pattern and accuracy in general, but it's another layer of complexity. So now you found your weapon. Now you need to master its spray pattern after finding attachments or even tweaking attachments to see how the spray pattern is affected. So I think that is going to help the uniformity, I would say, for weapons. So as long as you can master the spray pattern and you have the proper attachments that you personally love on this particular rifle or shotgun or SMG or whatever it is, as long as you master that spray pattern, it's gonna clear you through whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter, you know, if it happens to be the highest damaging weapon. So I am also looking forward to see how these spray patterns look. But that is about it for this video. I'm just looking forward to this game. The more information that they send out, I'm just happy over and over again. And September 21st, I wish could come sooner. But that is going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys so much for sticking with me. If you haven't already, feel free to like this video and subscribe. If you haven't, I'm going to be posting a lot of Payday videos coming forward. So if you guys are interested in some Payday 3 content, or maybe hear from me, which I don't know why, but, you know, it's there. I'd appreciate it nonetheless. And yeah, I'm going to be playing the fuck out of Payday. This is going to be great. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.